Folks, we have the hardest working man in media, Don Lemon. You know him, you love him. He no longer has to wear a suit and tie. He no longer has to sit behind a desk. He no longer has to invite me and apologize afterwards for wasting 12 minutes of my life debating a bad faith right wing actor. He is the host of the Don Lemon Show. It is extremely successful, nearing 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And he's Don Lemon on the streets. He's actually in there in Chicago talking to people. And I have him here to promote his fantastic show, where sometimes he talks to talking heads, but most of the time he actually goes out on the streets. And he was actually how long you spent in Chicago? A week, Don?
I spent let's see, 4 days, five days, five
He
days.
was in Chicago for 5 days. I call it Occupy Chicago, talking to the people resisting ICE. And we're going to talk about what it's like to resist ICE. We're going to talk about this, my words, Trump's Gestapo terrorizing just innocent people trying to live their life in Chicago. We're going to talk about Don Lemon pissing off the right wing for, just dropping some truth bombs about the problem of angry white terrorists and extremists, men. And then also we're going to talk about the media and how it's broken right now. But Don, welcome, sir.
Wajahat, it is indeed an honor to be here. And just full transparency, Waj has been trying to get me to come on for about a couple weeks now, and seriously, it has been nuts. And so I got back from Chicago 2 a.m. And I'm here because I want to talk to you, but I also love what you're doing, and you have always been out front and pissing people off. But you're pissing people off by telling the truth, and people don't want to hear it. They also this. Can we go? Can I go there?
Go there.
Everyone wants to, oh my God, I wouldn't say it that way, or this kind of language or whatever. You got to piss people off. I'm tired of like all the niceties because that doesn't work in this administration. That doesn't work in this era. You gotta dispense with the niceties and um let's just be civil. Why do you want people to be civil when you are rounding them up off the street without due process, beating their faces and their heads into the ground, cuffing them either with handcuffs or restraint, throwing them into holding cells that aren't fit for animals, and then sending them off to a gulag in some other country that they have no idea? Why do you want people to be civil when you are breaking the Constitution, when you're not abiding by the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution that says basically you're supposed to give due process to all persons, not just citizens? And so I'm tired of being nice. I'm tired of worrying about, oh my gosh, what are people going to say about me? What's the right wing going to say? Oh, some guy on a podcast is going to say something mean about me. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care. And we're in the era now where you cannot care. I actually think, now I won't say this because that'll get me in trouble, but maybe I'll say it. All right, I'll
No.
just say it. I think that these are the times that the Second Amendment was written for.
Damn.
And when you have a government, a tyrannical government that is taking over the streets and not abiding by the Constitution, that's the whole idea what the Second Amendment was meant for, was written for, is to fight against a tyrannical government that has overreached and is not taking care of the citizens anymore. That's sicking the police and military on its own citizens. That's what's happening right now. So I'm surprised the right wing isn't up in arms saying, oh my gosh, we have a tyrannical government that has military out on the streets against its own citizens. We need to believe in the Second Amendment. We need to believe in states' rights. What happened to smaller government? What happened to don't get into my business? Let me deal with my business because I'm a conservative. They're the ones who would be outraged. Imagine if this was on the left, what the hell would be happening? So I say, perhaps people who are having to deal with this, the least of these, the citizens who are being scooped up, the American citizens who are being scooped up, perhaps they need to really figure out what the Second Amendment is really about and go out and do it legally and purchase some things, because you never know when someone's going to come to your house and knock on the door and try to take you away, even if you're an American citizen. And I know it's happening because I interviewed people in Chicago who it happened to, and I know that they're American citizens because I saw their passports, their government IDs, and their social security cards. And when you came to their house, you didn't want to see it. I'm just saying.
No, and you know what? This has been happening throughout American history. And what I've been talking to folks about is first they came after black folks and people said, eh. Then they came after undocumented people, said, whatever. Then they came after pro-Palestinian activists, like maybe they're Hamas. Then they came after transgender folks. And we kept saying, you know what? A fascist comes for everyone at the end. And now you're seeing white skulls being cracked. You're seeing 79-year-old white men being thrown to the ground. You're seeing Kat Abu Ghazala, who's like 5 foot nothing, could pass for a white blonde girl being completely manhandled by ICE. You're seeing kids being zip tied. You're seeing Senator Padilla of California getting bum rushed by ICE agents. Remember that? You're seeing
Yeah.
friggin' them raise guns at Maxine Waters. You're seeing Mayor Baraka of New Jersey being arrested just trying to keep his community safe.
Was
And now
Landon
we
here
realize,
in New York City, remember?
yep, and
Brad
you're seeing
Lander.
Brad Lander, and then the same place where Brad Lander got arrested just a couple of weeks ago. You saw that poor young woman who was just crying, pleading with the ICE officer, saying, "Just tell me where my husband is." And he had the cameras on him, Don. You saw it, and he tackled her. These people are working with impunity. They're masked. They're armed. They don't even give you their ID. And what I've been saying, Don, and I've been worrying about this for a while. This is a country with more guns than people, 400 million guns, right? And if these people keep working with impunity, what I warned about is there's going to be copycats, criminals who are simply going to be masked, say that they're ICE agents, and commit crimes. We've already seen that right now. And we know throughout US history, folks, I know people might not like hearing this, but check it out. This happened in my hometown of the Bay Area. This type of assault, unlawful activity against black folks. So black folks said, okay, we got the Second Amendment. You all can carry arms. We're going to carry arms. Black
That's right.
Panthers started carrying arms. And what did this country do? Governor Ronald Reagan and the NRA, you know what they did, Don? They said, we need gun control. And
Mhm.
they decided, wait, only the white men can carry guns and terrorize people. Oh,
Yeah.
when's black folks doing it legally? Again, folks, legally. And they were just like, listen, we don't want to use this, but we're going to carry it. You can't put your arms on our women and our kids. Then they passed gun control in the United States of America. So, do you think, and this is just us teasing it out there, and because we also saw in Springfield, Ohio, because of Donald Trump and these racists deliberately promoting the hateful Nazi conspiracy theory of Haitians eating dogs and pets, and folks, they knew it was a lie, they still promoted it. You saw these Patriot Front groups and Nazis and all these right wing groups terrorize the people. And what happened in Springfield, Ohio? You saw the black community, one man with a gun
Yeah.
making sure they're crossing the street peacefully. Is that what Chicago is going to devolve into, Don? Because you were there for 4 days.
Okay, so let me just say this. You're saying what I'm saying, and I just want to be very clear here. I am not condoning or promoting violence, but what I
Of course
am
not. No,
saying
no. We
is
all know.
that
We all
when those, but when those, and look, that should go without a caveat. And you know what? The folks on the right say it all the time, and no one, and then they get promoted, and they still have platforms, and people are like, yeah, right, Second Amendment, I get to carry my gun. You know the whole thing. But the moment that you and I say it, because a black and a brown brother, it's like, oh my gosh, what are they saying? Yeah, I'm saying, here's what I'm saying to black and brown people, to Mexican people, to people who are here legally and who can go and buy a gun legally and have a license to carry legally. Go do it. Why not? Go do it. It is your Second Amendment right. So I say to all the black households, go out and get your firearm and be safe with it and keep it in a safe place and teach your kids about how to use it safely or how to stay away from it safely when they're a kid. Go and do it. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Go
Mm.
back and read what the Second Amendment says. And perhaps it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor to cross the border. Now, if you do it a number of times, then it becomes something else. But it is nowhere near the level of criminality that a 34 count a business documents or whatever it is, forgery or whatever it is, whatever that Donald Trump did. Is nowhere near the level of criminality. We have degrees of criminality in this country. And what Donald Trump did is at the highest level of criminality, except for taking someone's life. And someone who is crossing the border is nowhere near that. So go out, guys. Do what the Republicans say. Do what the right wing folks say. Go get your gun. Do it legally. You have a right to carry it around with you. And then also, if you want to, carry the flag with it and your Constitution and say, this is America. This is my right as an American citizen, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm tired of all the mealy mouth. I'm tired of playing nice. I'm tired of people saying turn the other cheek. That's what got us into this position in the first place.
Yeah, it's the both sides. You can't both sides fascism. You can't both sides, if you will, a genocide. You can't both sides this stuff. You have to take a side. And furthermore, if you want to see the quickest path towards gun control, this is some dark humor, but it's happened before in the past, folks. I'm bringing the receipts. If you see a bunch of black and brown folks, bearded Muslim black and brown folks carrying guns peacefully, just sitting at their porch carrying a gun, just like you see white folks doing.
That's their right.
If you see if you see a bunch of black and brown folks doing it in America, two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to have the NRA say gun control now. And secondly, unfortunately, you're going to see a huge brouhaha on the right wing accusing the rest of us of being criminals and terrorists and invaders and rapists and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the number one domestic terror threat in America for the past 10 years, nothing come close, is right wing terrorism that intersects with white supremacist terrorism. Number one amount of plots, number one amount of victims. And furthermore, you mentioned something about the hypocrisy of cracking down on crime, and yet this is the most criminal administration. I think we should focus on that for a second, because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller have unleashed their own Gestapo, not in Mexico, folks. The border is now in Portland. The border is now in LA. The border is now in Chicago. The border is in DC. And the Supreme Court has given them a green light for racial profiling. These cities, these mixed ethnic cities with black mayors, it ain't lost on the rest of us. Portland, although is very white, but it resists. Meanwhile, Don, like you said, Donald Trump is the only convicted criminal president, 34 counts of falsifying business records, accused of sexually abusing women, held liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, held liable for defamation, has committed fraud. Letitia James got him on a civil fraud case. He also had to end his university and his charity and to pay out more than $20 million worth of fines, because who friggin' creates a charity to defraud people? Donald Trump. And of course, Don, because I bring the receipts, closest friend of Jeffrey Epstein, as he is unleashing the Gestapo against innocent Americans in Chicago, and I want to know more about what people said. No one has explained, Don, why Glenn Maxwell in his minimum security camp getting all the perks. No one has explained why his border czar, Tom Homan, took $50,000 in an FBI sting. And when they ask Pam Bondi, where is the $50,000? She refuses to give the answer. And finally, nobody I talk about all the time, why did Donald Trump pardon 1,600 insurrectionists, including the violent ones who were convicted of a seditious conspiracy against the United States of America? So I'm with you. I don't play by the rigged game anymore. I don't do both sides. I call out the bullshit. Here you are, the most criminal entity in the entirety of the right wing that praises as your king and daddy, a man who incited a violent insurrection, pardon them, and protects pedophiles, but you are comfortable unleashing ICE against innocent black and brown people. Miss me with that shit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And there are people saying, I don't agree with you. I see you in the comments. I don't agree with you, Don. More guns. I don't want more guns either. I would like a lot fewer guns. I'm not talking about assault weapons. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the right that people have as citizens in the United States. And if you really want, look, uh, someone said a gun may not uh, keep me from something. I forget what they said, but it'll keep me from getting kidnapped. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I don't know, and maybe it'll just knock some sense into the head of the people who don't understand that we have gone far beyond of what the Constitution allows us to should allow people to do, far beyond what the law should allow people to do. They are Courts are telling them that you can't do this, that you have to take certain people, certain members of the military off the streets. What are they doing? They're holding them there until they can appeal, and then another judge can say, okay, you can go, and then they have to do another judge. So they don't care. They're defying federal judges at this point. At some point, as citizens, you have to say enough already, because we have not. People say we're sliding into fascism. We're not sliding into fascism. We've careened into fascism. We are there now with someone who is doing everything they can to try to divert attention away from the Epstein file. What's in those damn files that you are so afraid of revealing that you have to distract people from with all kinds of news? even if it's about a peace deal, let's hope it it holds.
It
But if
hasn't.
it's
It
about
already
creating,
Israel already killed. Israel already broke the ceasefire and killed Palestinians as of like an hour ago.
well, see now I didn't know that. I just finished my show a little bit. Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So Israel
it's
already.
just there. I just got it. It just the note as soon as you said that came across from my producer, and it's being reported by Al Jazeera. Israel shoots dead at least 9 Palestinians in Gaza despite ceasefire. That's
Yep.
according
It
to
went from 5 to 9 in
Al
about 10
Jazeera.
minutes. Could have told you. In fact, said it yesterday. And and they gave Donald Trump a Time magazine cover for that shit. Anyway, continue, Don.
I don't even know what to say anymore. So despite all the distractions that you're trying to do with that, yesterday to me felt like I kept saying, I hope this is real. I hope it works. But the more I watched it, especially I watched it with the sound down. The only time I ever watch linear television is when I'm in a hotel room because you pop it on and it's right on the cable, right? I don't even have cable at my house anymore. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching with the sound off, doing my work, and it looked like Wag the Dog to me. I said, who is producing or who is the director, the one in the control room for this Trump Inc. production that's happening in the world after 2024 when he told people not to sign off on Biden's deal and Bibi Netanyahu because it might affect his chances negatively of becoming president of the United States. Who is the one that is orchestrating this? Donald Trump is the man behind the curtain. But there's a control room somewhere going, okay, our production team going, we're going to do this, and then we're going to have this summit, and then we're going to put him in front of a Peace 2025 sign, and we're going to do that. That's what's happening, and people don't even realize that they're being played. Look, if Donald Trump gets peace in the Middle East or Gaza and Israel, if he can stop them from fighting and killing the fewer lives that are lost, I'm all for that. He should get whatever accolade that he wants. But until I see that happening, then I'm going to be a skeptic because that's what I'm supposed to do as a journalist. Until I see a deal that treats the people of Gaza, the Palestinian people, fairly for getting schools and roads and hospitals and infrastructure and libraries rebuilt, until I see some concrete evidence of that and for some sort of restitution and some reparations to the Palestinian people, until I see that, then I don't believe that this is a peace deal.
Nope.
I think that this is just a pause in the fighting until someone else can come in and start bombing or start encroaching on land and territory. That's how I see it.
And that's how you should see it because there was no mention of Palestinians, there was no mention of the West Bank, there was no mention of the pathway towards statehood. Furthermore, Israel had already set its intentions by the Security Cabinet ruling that they're going to what? Control Gaza City, move the people of Palestine. What does that mean? Ethnic cleansing. They already, I'm sure for your show tonight, you're going to see that they have already restricted the amount of aid that was supposed to come in. So Israel already did that. So what ceasefire? There's already phase five starvation. Gaza has just been completely destroyed. And furthermore, Israeli officials, I'm sure you can play their tweets. They're openly saying, yeah, we're going to resume doing what we had to do after we get the hostages back. So everyone knew this was going to happen. Donald Trump got played yet again by Netanyahu. I just want to remind people in the first administration, we had something. President Barack Obama did something that pissed off a lot of hawks. He did the Iran nuclear deal. Who blew it up, Don? Donald Trump.
Donald
Uh,
Trump.
and remember, and then people said, "Oh, we should have probably kept that." But he was so vindictive towards black people and women. No, no, no. If Obama did it, I gotta blow it up. And then who played Donald Trump a couple of months ago? Netanyahu yet again. And Donald Trump almost took us to World War III. Bombed Iran, didn't even destroy the nuclear facility. And now I've been saying it, folks, for 2 days. I was with Don. I said, if this holds, wonderful. I don't care. I want people to be safe, but I know these players. Donald Trump is going for his photo op. Donald Trump is pissed off he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize because who got it? Obama got it. And now, notice Israel was smart. He goes, "Okay, we'll give you that. We'll give you that." Benjamin Netanyahu came out and said, look at this peace deal. This is a man of peace." The Knesset gave him an applause because he's a child. They know about his ego. Donald Trump got his Time magazine cover that he's really pissed off about, which is hilarious. And a day later, folks, a day later, back to normal because it's exactly what the Israeli regime wants. They are telling you, trust the evidence of your eyes and ears. Speaking about the fascism at home, Don, you showed me a clip that you said went viral. I keep telling
Can I
people,
show it for people?
yeah, yeah.
Can I show it for the
Trust the
photo?
evidence of your eyes and your ears. Just listen to this administration and see what they're doing. Don't listen to me and Don. And you said of your 4-day coverage, this is the clip that went most viral.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this for you guys. I'm gonna make sure that I get it from the beginning.
He wonder if he qualified. He a piece of shit, bro. Like, he the one said that a couple gun deaths is
Wait,
okay.
hold on. Let me go back to the beginning. Let me go back to the beginning. This guy.
I say what I want to say. I got a freedom of speech regardless of what Donald Trump thinks. I can say the fuck I want to say.
What do you want to say, Donald Trump?
Fuck Donald Trump. Die from natural causes. Pam Bundy an idiot. Christy Nome ugly. Fuck Donald Trump. Get the fuck out of our city. Basically, like, get them with racial profiling people, and I just hate all this shit. I hate them.
Why is it pissing you off so much?
Because they racist. I know deep down it's all like some racist shit. You see this shit all over the news and all over the TV, seeing this dumbass shit they saying that day and all this dumbass shit they doing and shit. Once I rolled past here and saw people protest and shit, I don't know. I just want to be heard. They just some fucking idiots, man. I don't know. They ain't really no other way to put it. They racist. And they don't like me and I don't like them. And, you know, like, they got a problem with a motherfucker like me, but they love Charlie Kirk. Like, what the fuck? Charlie Kirk's a piece of shit. I don't get no fuck. I got a job too. I don't get no fuck. Dox me. You better not pull up where I be at. Charlie Kirk running around saying stupid ass, racist ass shit, all type of dumb ass shit. And they call him a patriot and he was a piece of shit. He was a racist. He said if he see a black pilot, he wonder is he qualified. He a piece of shit, bro. Like, he the one said that a couple gun deaths is okay for the Second Amendment. He said that shit. Then when he get shot, we all supposed to cry. He was talking shit the minute the bullet hit his neck. He still talking shit. His stupid ass wife still out here being racist and trying to throw Super Bowl shows. They dumb as hell and Bad Bunny Puerto Rican. They don't even know he American. They just racist. Like, they just see, oh, he's brown. I'm just racist, bro. So fuck all of 'em. I say what I want to say. I got a freedom.
That's awesome. I never saw that entire clip. That's that guy. That you know what? I think we need that energy, Don. I think we need to stop playing. Look, I've been saying this for a
That's
while. I
what
want
I'm
your take on
saying.
this.
Watch, I hate to cut you off. That's what I'm saying. And people are loving him. There are like white women on there going, I want to marry this man. I love him. Finally, someone speaking the truth. People are tired. He said, and people there said, I'm tired of people telling me how I should react, what I can and cannot say, how I'm supposed to mourn, how I'm supposed to celebrate. I can't call someone out who was a racist because they died from the very thing that they promoted. Are you kidding me? I can't speak up for my Latino brothers and sisters who are being yanked off the streets. And not only because they're being yanked off the streets, but we're being yanked off the streets as well. Everyone, I got to tell you, Waj, it'll be very controversial. Everyone gets their turn at being the N word. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And if you don't stand up for, you didn't stand up for the black folks, if you don't stand up for the brown folks who are being treated as the N words or the sand N words, as they call them, if you don't stand up for those folks, then you are eventually, no matter your color or gender, you're going to end up being the N word in America. And they're going to yank your ass off the street and put you in a lockup. And then what are you going to do? Be outraged by it? You can't be outraged by it because the precedent has already been set and you have allowed it.
And you know what's happening right now in Portland, folks? You've been to Portland. I've been to Portland. Portland's a great place. Portland is very white. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're a white woman. They don't care. You're Mike Pence running for your life on January 6, 2021, the vice president of the United States of America. Donald Trump didn't care. You can't get more white and more conservative and more Christian than Mike Pence. They're now going after John Bolton. Bomb Iran, John Bolton. They don't care. They're going to go after Chris Wray. They're going to go after James Comey. They already are. They don't care. Fascists come for everyone. And you all need to just look at the evidence of your eyes and ears. And I'm so glad I didn't hear that full clip. He talked about Charlie Kirk. Today is Charlie Kirk's National Day of Remembrance. And I think you agree with me. And I know you do because I've heard you talk about it. The murder is despicable. The alleged suspect is Tyler Robinson. Kash Patel of the FBI completely effed up. Thank God that Tyler Robinson's father, I believe, convinced him to turn himself in. Otherwise, Kash Patel will just say, like, hey, get me into Valhalla. He wasn't doing anything with the FBI. So
Does
you
Cash
can,
Patel really think he's going to get into white heaven?
yeah. Viking
Come
heaven.
on, Cash. Do you know what Valhalla? Anyways, go on.
He's gonna be knocking on the door. I hear you guys are partying. Let me in. They're like,
Be
Cash and
like,
Usha.
can you go mow the lawn?
Yeah. Cash and Usha. We have some accounting to do. We're gonna send you our bills. But today is Charlie Kirk's National Day of Remembrance, and that gentleman that you talked to, I think is perfectly legitimate. I was on Piers Morgan. It was 3 versus 1. You were on Piers Morgan as well. They were so upset.
Okay.
They were so upset at me that I actually brought out Charlie Kirk's entire quotes. I actually remembered Charlie Kirk, the way he actually lived his life by talking about black people and Muslims and women. Notice how they never, ever, ever quote Charlie Kirk. And once you actually quote Charlie Kirk, they get really pissed off, Don, because it's proof that Charlie Kirk lived his life like a racist, an Islamophobe, a xenophobe, a misogynist. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, the way they did the hagiography, and they're doing the hagiography of Charlie Kirk, now I understand why this country has statues and monuments named after racist slave owners who lost a war. Your take.
What he said. That's seriously, that's my take. Look, I don't understand how you make someone like that into a martyr. And look, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. The man should not have died that way. No one
Nope.
deserves it. I do not believe in political violence. I don't care who commits the political violence and who it's against. That is not what we should be doing. What I'm fighting for and what I believe in is abiding by the Constitution and treating people like human beings, having some humanity and compassion in our society. And that's why I'm so against what's happening with ICE rounding up people who are, you know, people who are just trying to live their lives. Should everybody come over the border or immigrate here, and go through all the proper channels? Yes. But we don't live in a perfect world. We don't know why people are coming. We don't know what kind of hardships they're facing from the places they're coming from. We don't know what they're running from, but we know what they're running to. They're running to a place of opportunity and democracy and where we treat people like human beings. And the moment we stop that, then we become the actual countries that they're running from.
Yeah.
We become as bad or worse than the countries that they're seeking perhaps asylum from, or they're trying to get, they're running away from the hardships or from the authoritarianism or from a dictator. We become that very thing when we don't give all persons due process in this country, when we don't treat human beings like human beings. So um, I don't understand why they're trying to make a martyr out of someone who denigrated black people, black women, black men, women in general. I don't get it unless it's to prove some political point and to elevate themselves politically and professionally. That's it.
I get it. And I think the guest that you had on who brought the receipts, he hit on the head. He used the R word, racism. And I said the two enduring sins of this country are white supremacy and capitalism, racism and greed. And he called it out. And I think the reason why people appreciated it, he didn't give an F. He said it straight. He brought the receipts, right? And I think it's racism. Racism, like, is the glue that connects everything, Don, because you look at it. You're like, you're unleashing the Gestapo. You're unleashing ICE against innocent people in Chicago. You brought the videos, innocent people in Portland, LA, DC, but you're perfectly fine protecting pedophiles like Ghislaine Maxwell. You won't release the Epstein files. You'll pardon 1,600 insurrectionists, including violent ones with violent backgrounds. You'll pardon Russ Ulbricht, who was the founder of Silk Road, the digital hub of sex trafficking and weapons trafficking, right? You're perfectly fine with, you praise Don, you praise white men who kill black people. You praise the guy who choked out and killed that man on the subway. You give him a job. Anderson Horowitz gave him a job. You praise Kyle Rittenhouse, who brought a gun and killed two white men. The Governor Abbott pardoned a man who came with a violent intent to a BLM rally. I don't know. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Daniel Penny or Daniel Perry is his name. A jury of his peers convicted this man, and Governor Abbott pardoned him. This is what happened in the past. Oh, you're part of the white lynch mob. Oh, you're a white man who with the good old boys and chased those N-words off the street and maybe lynched them. Don't you worry. You will be acquitted, much like the killers of Emmett Till. It's what's happened throughout history, right? And I talked to Jen Budd. Jen Budd is a whistleblower. I think you should have her on her show. She's fantastic. She was in the Border Patrol for 6 years and she quit. And she said, this is the culture of ICE. This is the racist culture of ICE. It goes back to this racism that happened, during segregated America in certain places, sundown towns, right? If you were black, Don, tell them what happened if you were black and God forbid you were there 2 minutes past sundown in a southern state.
Tell them what would happen. I
Yeah.
know because I grew up in the South. And I have been to places that where I'll just tell you the story. So if you're in a sundown town, it's like, you better get out of here, boy, or whatever. Or if it was back in the day, you probably would end up dead, okay? Or hanging from a tree. But now there are sundown towns and they will drive you out with a gun, or some sort of violence or harm is going to come to you. I remember when I was in high school, I went to Baker High School, and Central Louisiana was known as this very racist place. And we went to a dance. I went with my friends to a dance at Central, I think it was Central High School. Yeah, Central High School. We went to a dance and I got out of the car and they were like, nigger, you
Wow.
you better get your ass back in that damn car. What's wrong with you? And I was with my friends. I was with two white friends, and they were like, "Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here." And this was the 1980s. That's been a while, but that still exists. And my family talks about it. And when I'm there, I experience some of it. Is it the same? Is it as overt? No. But I tell you what, it's not as you cannot have a school that is that openly racist, right? You can't have institutions like that. But what you can do is what is happening now is that you have a president who has become the imprimatur for your bigotry. And so you're okay with saying it out loud in a drive through line, in a restaurant, on a podcast, on your social media, yelling at someone like a Karen. People feel emboldened now because of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is going to get a lot of people's asses kicked, right?
Mm.
Because they feel like it's okay. It's open season. They can call people the N word. They can yell at people. They can, it's their world now. And a lot of people are mistaken about that. And that's why I'm just saying I'm tired of people being mealy mouthed, and people need to start fighting back, meaning fighting back in whatever form that's possible. I don't believe in violence, but if someone calls me out in public or says something to me, I'm going to give them that same energy right back to them. I'm not turning the other cheek anymore. I'm thinking, okay, because if you do that, then they think it's okay to do it to the next person, or to do it to me again, or to do it to my niece, or my mother, or my uncle, or my dad, or my grandfather, or my child. You're not doing that. Who do you think you are, bigot? You're being a racist right now. Shut the fuck up and get out of my face. But now they think it's okay to do it because Donald Trump does it. Donald Trump tells law enforcement they can beat people up. They can do whatever they want. They can treat them harshly. Donald Trump is telling people what Malcolm X did, by any means necessary. And so now I think that we need to figure out whatever the meaning now, the current modern meaning for us, the people who don't believe in this tyranny and bullshit, what by any means necessary means to us. Now, I will tell you what you won't hear from these bigots and these racists and these people who are on podcasts and on streaming and are the manosphere and all of the MAGA influences. What you will hear them talk about all the time is how bad black people are, how criminal black people are, how violent black people are, how Mexicans are criminals and immigrants are criminals, and brown people are coming over taking our jobs, and they don't want H-1B visas or whatever. They'll do story after story after story about that, demonizing minorities, demonizing gay people, the other. But you know what they will never really have a fulsome conversation about is the crisis of young, not necessarily so young, but white men in this country who feel disenfranchised, and they feel like they have to go and pick up a gun and then start shooting people randomly at a mall or in a theater or at a church. That's what they're not talking about. They won't have a fulsome, real, honest conversation about what the FBI says, about what the Cato Institute says, about what the Anti-Defamation League says, about all of the other people who keep these numbers and do these studies and the stats, is that the number one perpetrator of political violence in this country are white men who are radicalized to the right. It is wing, right wing radicalism that is the perpetrator, the biggest perpetrator of political violence in this country. It is also the biggest perpetrator of domestic terrorism in this country. The people who will more than likely pick up a gun and randomly start shooting people because of political ideology, which is usually to the right. They will not have an honest conversation about that. Instead, they want to deflect about what? To, well, black people, you have these problems in these cities with them. Yeah, that we do have those problems. And that is a whole different conversation. But what about the one with the issue that we have now about domestic terrorism and about political violence? What about that conversation? What about the crisis that you admit that young men feel disenfranchised? But the moment you start connecting that to gun activity and to domestic terrorism and to political violence, oh, whoa, 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 we can't talk about that. We got to talk about the violent people of color, the violent dark people. So that is the bullshit racism that they are allowed to get away with. And I'm sick of people getting away with it. And you know what? I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to talk about it in as many spaces as possible. And you're not going to stop me. You know why? Because I have a First Amendment right as an American citizen. And doubly so because I'm a journalist. I am in a profession that is protected by the very First Amendment of the fucking Constitution. Get over it and get used to it because I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to continue to do it. Too bad. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it.
Dawn Unleashed is my favorite Dawn, and Hit Dogs Holler, which is why the right wing is so pissed off at Dawn, because like Dawn and Joy, he calls out the enduring sin, the sin that's burning down America, which is not black folks, which is not immigrants, which is not Haitians, which is not Muslims, which is not transgender athletes. It's racism, and specifically it's white supremacy. And the hoods are off. You're right, Don. The hoods are off. They got Stephen Miller now. They got Donald Trump. They're saying what was in their heart the entire time. And as Don said, when it comes to mass shootings, 95% of mass shooters in this country, men. Majority of mass shooters, anyone take a guess? White men. And we've seen repeatedly, every single study, like Don mentioned, the number one domestic terror threat in America in terms of plots, in terms of attacks on law enforcement, in terms of when it comes to actual violence and victims, it is done by white men radicalized online. I want to talk about real quick, this is just from the past couple of weeks. The alleged killer, Charlie Kirk, wasn't you, wasn't me, wasn't they, wasn't them, was Tyler Robinson, white man from a Christian conservative family. The man who killed Mormons, blew up the church, white man, Trump voter. The man who shot at ICE detainees, radicalized white man, 29 years old, allegedly a libertarian, but radicalized online, right? The man who had a list of 70 Democrats and liberals that he wanted to kill, ended up killing, unfortunately, Melissa Hortman, her husband, her dog, Vance Bolter, white man. All of this is projection, Don. And like you said, instead of looking inward, instead of saying, oh, look at the number one problem, look at the threat, let's talk about racism, they project, they create these false flags. Now they've gone after Antifa. Now they're going after indicators of left-wing terrorism, right? Now they're going after thought police, right? You can't say anything against ICE or Christianity. And they're going against black and brown folks and also now white folks. White folks. If you thought it would be limited just to Palestinians and Muslims and black people and Latinos, I give you Portland. And so the question I have for you, Don, is because you pissed off a lot of people on the right wing by using the R word, by talking about domestic terrorism, by talking about the problem of angry white men. What is your solution? What can this country do to finally, if you will, wait for it? I've been waiting for this for 25 years. Moderate, moderate angry white men. How do we moderate angry white men in this country, Don Lemon? The question that has been asked about black people and Muslims and Latinos for decades. The problem of angry white men, and what is the solution? Don Lemon?
Well, I think part of the solution is some of the things that we've been talking about right here. Because there are certain people who believe that they own this country, even though it is stolen land. They think that it is their country. And I think that black people and any minorities who have been victim to all of this racist bullshit need to figure out and read the Constitution to figure out what our rights are and how we respond from there. And if we do that, I think it will empower more people. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the Second Amendment. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the First Amendment. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution and every other constitutional amendment that affects all of us. And so I think that we have to stop being mealy-mouthed and afraid to respond and afraid someone's going to call us racist or someone's going to take something out of context. nothing matters anymore with that. You got to fight fire with fire. And I think if you give them their same energy back, most of these people are cowards.
Oh yeah,
When
weak.
you see them on the street and you start talking to them, you realize you're just a misinformed coward who has been co-opted by someone either on the internet or in conservative media, and you think that they are telling you the truth when they're getting rich off of your back. And so I think we just need to start standing up and stop being afraid. I think that's the thing. Now, I don't know how much that's going to affect white men, but that will definitely affect the way that they react to us.
I agree. And folks, bullies have weak jaws, weak knees, and weak cankles. You've seen it. Every time you stand up to the Trump administration, you stand up to Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, Pat and Bondi, they do not respond well, folks. They cannot take it because they're not used to it, because all of this is projection, because internally they're cowards. They know they're weak. They know they're mediocre. They know they have to rig the system. They know they have to ban people like me and Don from the government, get rid of DEI because they know they can't compete. So this is what happens when we were in school. The bullies pick on the weakest kid and they make an example out of that kid. And they expect everyone else to then bend the knee. But you know what happens when one or two people stand up to the bully? Courage, like hope, is contagious. And then the bully withers. And Donald Trump is a weak bully who has failed up in life due to wealth, whiteness, and celebrity. But I always say, Don, there's more of us than there are of them, which is why I love that video you showed of that young black man, because I think he represents the energy that is necessary. He was peaceful. He kept it real. He
He's
brought the
smart too.
evidence.
You
He,
know how he's smart? Because he said, I hope Donald Trump dies. And I cringed and he goes, of natural causes. And I went, well, you can't fight. He's not condoning
He was
violence.
smart, and he called them out. Hit dogs holler.
Yeah.
He said they're racist. The
Yeah.
core underlying fear, the core underlying engine of all of this is white supremacy and racism. And white supremacy has always been self-destructive, has always been cowardly, has always been insecure. Folks, we have the better narrative, we have the better story, we have more numbers, we have the better food, we have the better looking women, we have the better salsa dips. The multicultural coalition of America, which includes the whites, folks, includes the whites. I want to be clear. We have the better story. We have to stand up and fight. And what I will say is this about Malcolm X. Malcolm X is unlike Donald Trump in the sense that Malcolm X used peace and he said, by any means necessary, we have to get freedom. And he was on the recipient, he was on his community was on the receiving end of white supremacy and violence. And folks, as Don said, everyone becomes Muslim, everyone becomes black, everyone becomes brown real quick under fascism. Fascists are coming for everyone. If you don't believe in me and Don, look at what's happening in Portland. Look at what they're going after John Bolton. Look, they're going to go after Christopher Wray. They've already gone after Comey. These guys were the head of the FBI. Look at me and Don. We ain't the head of the FBI. We ain't white men. So what do you think they're going to do to you if they go after Bolton, Pence, and Comey? We are all in this. You cannot both sides fascism, and you cannot both sides of genocide, which is happening in Palestine. I heard.
Can I
Yeah, go
can I
ahead,
jump
Don.
in and can I
Yeah,
jump in and
jump,
say something before we
jump in.
go? Because someone in the comments reminded me of something when you were talking about what our reaction should be. I forgot about religion because that is a huge problem. This religious nationalism, white nationalism is all tied into the same thing. We have to remember that we have a separation of church and state. And we also have to understand, I just wrote a book that was released last September, so it is September a year ago, on religion and on faith and how people misinterpret the Bible and scripture, and they think that it means something that it is not. We have to remember that scriptures are parables, it's mythology. These are not 100% true factual things that happen. And so when Mantratic in the comments says, Jesus turned the other cheek, he taught us to humble bullies. That was a lesson. That is not a concrete, this is what you should do. That was also centuries ago. So these are things that will teach you how to be a better person and to teach you how to conduct yourself generally. But you also have to live in the time that you're in right now. And if turning the other cheek is not going to get you to a place of love, a place of salvation, a place of something that's godly, then at certain points, you're going to have to learn how to conduct yourselves in order to get to that place. Otherwise, that person who you are fighting against is going to be the winner, and you're going to get an outcome that is not preferential to you. And so I think we need to rethink our whole relationship with religion, especially in this country with religious nationalism. and evangelicalism and all those things, because it is detrimental to this country. If you look at what happened on that stage in Arizona for
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk's funeral, that was religious and white nationalism on display there. And so I think that we need to rethink our relationship with the Bible and with God, and especially with religious fundamentalism. And I mean evangelical Christians and so forth. That's what I'm
It's
talking.
it's white Christian nationalism, and Russ Vought, who is the shadow president of the United States of America and the co-author of Project 2025, who Donald Trump just publicly now bear hugged, and he embraced Project 2025 after running away from it in the lead up to the election because he realized it was so unpopular. He's a white Christian nationalist. As
Yeah.
Don said, just look at I wouldn't even call it a memorial, I'll call it a propaganda rally for Charlie Kirk in Arizona. That was a white Christian nationalist rally. And white Christian nationalism is essentially white supremacy using Jesus as a mascot. It's a political movement with the cross. And for many people, and I want people to go listen to my conversation with John Fugelsang about how you can use religion and use religious language and use religious communities for social justice. Folks, I give you Martin Luther King. I give you Malcolm X. I give you Romero. I give you Gandhi, right? These people were very religious. And speaking about the Bible, Martin Luther King came from the friggin' tradition, the Southern Baptist tradition. He was a preacher, and his move towards social justice and being against capitalism and being against imperialism and being against war was informed by, wait for it, the Bible. So we
Mhm.
do need a reimagining and a re-engagement with religion and take it away from the white Christian nationalists who have hijacked it and have hijacked Jesus. That's my personal take. I saw in the comments that apparently Lev and Danielle were here. Sorry, I'm going to bring them in after I let Don go. I didn't see them. If Danielle and Lev are still here. Don, I kept you a bit longer than I did. You were on fire. I'm sure we're going to piss off so many people. Expect this to be on Fox News or some of those
Can I
far
give you
right.
my response? Because I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Don't look, okay, fine. If you want to contact me, great, and maybe I can clear something up for you. But here's my response always: like and subscribe. Well, Don, you said such and such and such and such. I'm surprised that you are again. I'm going to play their same game. When you said, well, when I say we shouldn't be rounding people up without due process. Oh, so you're for illegal people coming across the border and running roughshod over America? That's not what I said. So when you say, are you condoning violence for talking about people getting guns? No, I'm surprised that you are against the Constitution, because the Second Amendment of the Constitution says that we have a right to bear arms. And so I'm telling people to get it legally. So what is there? Why are you even writing a story? What's the problem with that? So that's my response. And my other response is like and subscribe. The Don Lemon Show is on YouTube. If you care to become a member, a subscribe, you can go there, or you can get me on any of the other places where you get digital. I'm on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I am also on Twitch. It is my new platform. It's twitch.tv/Don Lemon, or you can get me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere you get socials. That's my response.
Don is the hardest working man in independent media right now. He works about 22 hours a day. He sees his husband for 12 minutes. He sees his dogs for 2 minutes. He sleeps for, I think, 14 minutes, and then he's back at it. But it's very impressive, Don. You've built something from the ground up. He almost has 1 million now followers on YouTube, and he's on the street. He's doing the work. He's taken on the haters. And an unleashed Don is my favorite Don. It took a while to get him here, but credit due, he actually is the one who texted me and said, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. And then I felt bad. I'm like, man, I see this guy in Chicago. Should I remind him? So I literally, I just gave him a sincere compliment. I said, great job on reporting. And he goes, let's do it tomorrow. I said, no, that wasn't me being, it's like, wink, wink, come back. It was actually giving him a compliment, but this man has no sleep and he made time. We got 2,200 people watching us right now. Folks, if you caught us late, Don Lemon was on fire, pissing off all the right people. He talked about his reporting from Chicago. He talked about the folks that he met who, like me and Don, just give zero Fs now. Just enough. Stop playing a rigged game. You know, Don, before I let you go, I've been using this analogy. I used it on your show when it was on CNN. I said, this is the way MAGA operates. They're Lucy, and they have a rigged game, and they have the football, and they're going to lift the football. And all of America is like Charlie Brown, especially corporate media. Lucy, do you promise not to lift the football this time? And Lucy looks at the camera and goes, he. No, I won't. And Charlie Brown runs, and what happens? She lifts the football and he falls down on his ass again and again and again. And what I always said is Stop being like Charlie Brown. Stop playing their game. Stop entering their frame. It's rigged. Just tell them F you, F off. Just I'm done with you. You're a racist. You celebrate racists. You don't like it? Hit dogs holler. Peace out. Organize the majority. The caravan moves forward. And I think that's the type of energy the rest of us need to bring. Don, thank you so much for your time, folks. Don Lemon Show is when? 6 p.m. tonight?
5 p.m. Eastern. I'm on every weekday, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern live. And you can come and join the chat. I shout out people. I read their comments, like Kyle and the thing saying, Don is the shit. Don unleashed Allison Linger. I talk to people. So come join me over on the Don Lemon Show. I'm live on YouTube and also on the other platforms.
At 5 p.m., folks. Thanks, Don. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Waj. I'll see you later, buddy. Thank you.
Later. Thanks, man. I'm going to bring on Lev. Lev was supposed to come on at 1:30. Lev, thank you so much for waiting. I think Lev is still here, folks. If you can hear me, I hope you can. Sometimes this thing glitches when I'm trying to bring on folks. Lev Parnas is a former Trump fixer. Don and Joy and all these people unleashed is good, man. Don, Joy, Lev, all these people, when they go independent, you're seeing what happens with corporate media. They keep you in a straitjacket and a muzzle. And then when you're unleashed and when you're pissed off, you know what? And folks, before Lev, before you jump in, Don did not in any way, shape, or form advocate anything unconstitutional. He did not advocate, I don't know, a violent insurrection. He did not advocate bribery and taking a bag filled with $50,000 to do contracts. He said, hey, if you're comfortable, hold your gun. With your Second Amendment rights. And I say, because I don't want more guns, I actually want less guns in America. Dark humor, folks. The quickest way to gun control, I've always said it, is if Black, brown, and Muslim people start buying guns and marching in the streets with their guns, you will see gun control. And if you don't believe me, it happened in Oakland when the Black Panther did it. Just saying. Lev, there's so much to talk about. Surprise, surprise, Lev, the ceasefire. Oh, the peace deal. Lev, what happened? I am shocked.
I mean, I wrote about it yesterday, and it's like, listen. On one hand, the great thing is that at least people are, there's no more bombing going on for now. Again, for now, that's the key word. They released the hostages. But as I said, and as I heard you and Don speaking about, I mean, the one thing I'm going to just say, this is what I'm going to say a little bit different and push back on you on this. Well, I'll just say this, that Donald Trump is not being played. He's part of the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
And that's why I think a lot of people make the mistake. They're saying, Bibi, that's part of the theatrics. Like he's getting played by Putin, he's getting played by Bibi. What I'm hearing, and let me tell, we have over 2,000 listeners right now, and I beg each and every one of you to make sure when Waj puts this out, when I put it out, make sure you spread this out, because what I'm hearing and I'm going to get even more information out, that when Trump came into office, Waj, there was a certain group of people that I keep talking about, and that's Jared Kushner, that's Steve Witkoff, and they were aligned with an individual called Kirill Dmitriev. These three individuals are the link between everything we're seeing play out. And now, you're finally starting to see Kushner. Before it was just Witkoff running around and Kushner behind the scenes. Now you see Kushner on the front stage. And now you even saw yesterday Trump say he wants to see Kushner and Witkoff and the Russia-Ukraine war. Why he's frustrated, what the behind the scenes is, that when Trump came into office, he was even prior to coming into office. Because if you go back to some of the stuff that I broke before I even came on Substack when we were still on Twitter, is if you recall, go back maybe 8 months ago, there was a conversation, there was almost a peace plan put together by the Biden administration, and Bibi rejected it. Well, I back then, and now it's being picked up by all the major networks, but we could go back 8 months ago, it was a call from Trump to Bibi telling him, do not give Biden the win. And basically, we could have had peace going back 8 months ago. So what was told to Trump by this group of individuals is that if he gives Bibi the time, and if he gives Putin the time, and steps back and plays this theatricals, then Bibi will wipe out Gaza, which will then turn into Trump will come in just like we're seeing, because
Yep.
yes, we're seeing peace, but at what cost? How many people died? This could have been done way before. Aid could have been, but there was a purpose. This was part of the
Last
plan.
year. Could
This was
happen last year.
correct. This was part of the plan, and the same plan was supposed to be played out in Ukraine. The problem there is that Putin doesn't have the same army that Trump thought he is. He's because he still thinks it's the Soviet Union. Over here, you had, obviously, the Israeli army forces against fighting against, no response, basically just going out there annihilating and wiping out the Gaza Strip, what we see today. So yes, on one hand, am I happy to see that people in Gaza are celebrating that there's bombs not falling, and people in Israel are celebrating that their loved ones are back? Absolutely, in one way. But in another way, it's still, hurting to understand that it's not real, because any moment now we might still see, because look, the other things that they're reporting on that I talked about was that nobody was that Trump was pushing Bibi to go with him to Egypt. Bibi never even forget about not going to Egypt, but he never even said that the war is over. He's
Yep.
also, there's still the IDF troops still there. So, again, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are still, not cemented. Yes. Do we have peace in the Middle East for one day so far, 24 hours? Yes.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Oh,
Uh,
we have. I didn't hear maybe something.
Oh yeah,
Something
yeah.
happened.
So yeah, Israel's already broken the ceasefire. When right before I jumped on with Don, I saw they had killed 5 people, and then Don was talking about it. I told Don that. He's like, "What?" And then he said, "Oh wow, right as you're talking about, now I see that 9 people have died." Israel's also limited the amount of humanitarian aid it was supposed to bring in, because it was all in the 20-point document. People who studied it said this is so vague, and it gives Israel an out, and said that if Hamas doesn't, agree to certain parameters of the deal, and they just said, "Well, Hamas didn't agree to X amount of the deal, whatever it was, without specifying." So they've limited the amount of humanitarian aid. Last time I checked, 9 Palestinians have been killed. Not even a day. Not even a day, Lev. Donald Trump gets his stupid photo with the vagina chin on Time magazine that apparently has really pissed him off. That low angle shot. Rah rah rah. Right wing bullies everyone. Says give him credit. Give him credit. And I said, listen, he got the hostages back. That's great, but this is all bullshit. I know Netanyahu. I know the end game. Like you said with Trump, they've already said it. Trust the evidence of your eyes and ears. They've already said it. They were already saying it on social media. And lo and behold, vagina chin, Tim. Yes, I said it. The vagina chin. Not even a day, Lev. Not even a day.
And not only that, but anybody that does a little research and knows what Jared Kushner's plans for the Gaza Strip is, what Donald Trump is to turn that into. I don't believe that there will be peace. I don't believe that. I
No.
think Donald Trump is using corrupt methods, and a lot of these actors in the Middle East, and also that have joined him on that stage, are corrupt like him, and are also using corrupt methods. And there's trade deals going behind. I mean, you saw the hot mic moments with the Indonesian. My prime minister saying, "I gotta meet Eric Twiddledee, Twiddledum, as I call them," to talk about stuff. You heard other, all kinds of. So what I'm saying to you is, I think we always talk about these are band-aids.
Yeah.
This is not a hard thought out good plan. Is there something good? Like we said, there is. That's why it's such a hard subject to talk about, because there's a lot of good that came out with the hostages. But again, like you said, they're already bombing today. Aid's not coming in. So again. It's the same thing that's being played out not only there, but also in Ukraine. Same thing there. Trump is pretending that he's going after Russia. He's talking hard, but in the meantime, Paula Anna Luna is having the Kirill Dmitriev, that same Jared Kushner's guy, coming in to talk about what? Not about freeing kids that they stole, not about stopping the war, but talking about trade. because she said enough money, Zelensky. We're not giving you any more money. We're going to open up trade with Russia. So, and we spoke about this, me and you, so many times. The axis, it's Trump, Putin, and Bibi Netanyahu.
There you
Those
go.
are the three. Those are the three, and that's what you're saying. The two major conflicts. One's happening in Eastern Europe. One's happening in the Middle East. And Trump is, in a way, I'll say this, in a way he is being played because he's not as smart as the other two, so they are playing him as far as the negotiating, but at the same time he's part of the deal. He's part of the conspiracy because in the Middle East he's looking at it as a piece of property that's on the ocean, that as a real estate developer he says that it's a great piece of land that we could do tremendous things with. And in Eastern Europe, he's looking at minerals, Nord Stream 2, gas, oil, and this is the whole thing. And the other thing is both parts of the world, where you go to the Middle East and when you go to Russia, they both are very into crypto, which is where they're making the biggest killing. And the next thing I'm hearing that we're going to soon hear, and this is the crazy part, you're hearing it first. You know how Donald Trump has these announcements where he has these big investments from different parts, people coming in and investing hundreds of millions or billions into somewhere, building plants here. Well, soon we're going to have Russian oligarchs using
Mm.
Putin's money, setting up and investing money into the United States, where Trump is going to now make that look like, hey, this is a great thing. They're putting money into us. This is what we're doing. But it's another part of what I'm hearing is the expansion that's now about to take place of normalization of that side. And I mean, and I could go on between the Pentagon. We got so much, I mean, that's breaking.
I want to ask you about the Pentagon because,
Yeah, I
folks,
mean,
there's so many. The band-aids are being ripped off right now, and you're seeing more and more resistance. Now, I've been saying this for the past week, and yes, things are terrible, everyone. Lev and I have said it. Generational damage has been done by the Trump administration. However, you're seeing more and more people step up. You're seeing more and more people resist. So you saw MIT say, "Nah, we're going to reject your aid offer, and we're going to maintain our academic freedom." So MIT is one of the first major universities that rejected this kind of Trump shakedown. Let's just call it for what it is. You saw Jimmy Fallon is back. Jimmy Kimmel, excuse me, is back on air. Jimmy Fallon's a coward. You're seeing Letitia James look down at the barrel of the camera and say, "Bring it on, mother effer." You're seeing the No Kings rally. More and more people are gathering, and you know the Trump administration is scared because you had Sean Duffy talk about it, right? And they're trying to create some false flag about Antifa and bullshit, right? You're seeing more and more people in Chicago. I just had Dawn on, just working together as a community. And now you're seeing the press for the first time, even right-wing press. This just came out about 1 hour ago. Sam Stein, he says, looks like Pete Kexet's old employer, Fox News, has refused to sign the Pentagon's press requirements. Now, I'm going to read the joint statement from ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, and NBC News. In this day and age, folks, they all united. This is a joint statement. Quote, "Today, we join virtually every other news organization in declining to agree to the Pentagon's new requirements, which would restrict journalists' ability to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. We will continue to cover the U.S. military as each of our organizations has done for many decades, upholding the principles of a free and independent press." End quote. Lev.
I mean, listen, I'm happy that Fox has joined. I couldn't imagine them. I mean, because listen, I mean, I can't imagine any media, even if they're corrupt media, to sign something like that because you totally lose. I mean, there's zero credibility. I mean, what they want you to sign is say, listen, that if what we find out, if somebody, a source comes out and contradicts to whatever you're trying to tell us, that we can't tell the people, which is our job, the First Amendment right as the media, to you want to stop basically the First Amendment right. You want to take it away, and it's again part of Project 2025. This is all part of the plan that's being played out in different variations, different versions. Because at the end of the day, they've already kind of silence the media. They've already, this is, I mean, they don't really need the media to go sign this because, one of the ways they're trying to kill all of the sources is by using AI and using all of these other tactics to be able to start weeding out and putting more loyalists into positions and over time. Because just think about it, we're not even a year into, I mean,
9 months.
9 months. I mean, if just think about, if we have this at this pace, think about where we could be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I mean, if it's just such a quick and pace to what's happening, and we're not even talking about that we have the government shutdown happening. We have firings. Russell Vought, this white nationalist that you and Don have been talking about, is right now currently firing people away. I mean, getting rid of programs forever, doing things that nobody's talking about. Why? Because Trump's out.
HHS,
Yeah.
housing, EPA, literally going after kids. I mean, it is literally a pro-death march. And as this is happening, real quick, Lev, RFK is continuing his crusade against vaccines, and we witnessed a spike in measles in South Carolina.
And meanwhile, and this is the crazy part. Just stop right there with the vaccines. So they're talking about you shouldn't take vaccines. RFKs talk about vaccines, and what does Trump do? Go gets a vaccine. Go gets
COVID booster.
he gets a COVID booster and the flu vaccine or whatever. He got a vaccine. That should tell you all. I mean, that right there, just that, and again, everything we're talking about, everything you and Don were talking about, everything we talk about every day, what really it ticks me off, Waj, and I don't know how to break through. Like I had Mike Nellis on my Substack, we were talking about it, on all these people, is how do we break through? How do we break through where we could get this united? Because we have so much messaging. We have so much. I mean, just the fact, just if you could just think, if you just for 1 second, if we did nothing else but taken Marjorie Taylor Greene's own words from the Epstein, releasing the Epstein files, to asking Trump to sit down with the victims and the survivors, to going out there saying that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown and the destruction of our, the rising costs of our insurance. Those three, that you can't make. I mean, like if you used AI, you wouldn't think of to be able to go do that. Right now, every television station, and not just CNN or MSNBC, but all the right wing, go buy the ads, spend the money. Force them, go flood this internet. That's all we should be seeing. The whole world should be hearing their own. This is our simple messages. The Epstein files, what we talk about, the government shutdown, the economy, the crime rate, the DHS and the ICE rate. They're taking videos of this and turning into a propaganda machine where they're going out there hunting down these criminals. We should have television should be plaster of the little kids. They taking it a child with autism that their parents couldn't find them 3 days later for that he was held in ICE. This is the shit that's happened, but nobody knows about. Yes, you guys know about it, that you follow us. We speak about it, but Substack is this small compared to the whole world world. That's one of the reasons why I actually, I was listening to you and Don, but that's one of the reasons I also joined now YouTube. I mean, I'm not social media savvy, so I'm just learning. Oh, but I joined YouTube because I'm trying to spread the message. Because I tell you honestly, watch, I speak to some of these Democrats, and there's, some of them are call me back. Yes, we're working on them. We're talking. We're gonna get to. But the people, and I don't want to call out names. I'm not gonna do that right now. But the people that really could make a difference, that have the capability, like I don't understand. I don't understand what they're waiting for. I understand what they're doing. I understand what, because I mean, every day it's like, it's crazy, and it's just
There's no
simple
leadership,
things.
Lev. It's divided. We've talked about this often. There's no leadership in the Democratic Party. I've used the words, it's a cold civil war, in the sense that everyone's now jockeying to be the leader, the voice, the face, the ideology of the party. Case in point is there's no top-down messaging. It's all ad hoc. So you see Zoran Mamdani do something on his own. You see AOC do something. You see Jasmine Crockett do something. You see Van Hollen do something. But what the Republicans do, and you know this, you were part of the MAGA machine, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, I'll give credit where credit's due, is they create a message, no matter how ridiculous, they repeat it, and they assault you with it nonstop, sometimes for years. like Benghazi. Repeat, 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 repeat. And openly they share the strategy. Chris Rufo, the man who manufactured the CRT controversy, said, we create the message and then they Trojan horse it through establishment media, which like dumbasses are complicit, and New York Times and CNN and others allow them then to Trojan horse the bullshit on television. That's why it's so dangerous to do both sides, because once you do both sides, for the average Jose watching, they're like, oh, CNN, CBS, ABC, this is respected news channels. So if they have a climate change denier, surely there must be something here. If they have an anti-vaxxer, surely there must be some credibility here, right? And what they showed, Lev, is with climate change denialism from years ago. If you have 99% of the world saying climate change is happening and a 1% crank, if you give them the same platform, it does the damage that it spreads both as equal narratives and it confuses people. So that's the danger of both sides. It moves the Overton window more and more and more and more to the right, and it mainstreams these bullshit talking points, and which is what we're going up against right now, folks. It's like overwhelming. So we have to do our part to get the truth out and repeat it nonstop. I know people say it sounds stupid. It's just how human beings work. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. And speaking about repeating it, I've said before, you have said it, you just said it. The thing that will weaken Donald Trump, he cannot escape the Epstein files. And I did this tweet from 2 days ago, which now has like more than 1 million views. Glenn Maxwell met with high profile, unidentified visitors, and they shut down the camp and they had to clean up the camp. And apparently, all her other fellow incarcerated individuals were really pissed off that she's getting special treatment. The question I have, the question that everyone has,
What did she do?
who was the high profile unidentified visitor? And also, why is she getting special treatment? This woman who was serving a 20-year sentence
There's a
for sex
record of
trafficking.
everything. There's a record of everything. You can't go into a prison, especially a federal prison, without getting approval. Trust me, I was an inmate, and you can't. There's just processes that are going through. But before we go to the jump over about Maxwell, I want to just touch on something that you said is so incredible. And again, you mentioned Epstein. I want to give a little free advice, because I'm sure there are certain, political Congress people listening, or money people, or whoever is. So listen, I know they spend millions of dollars on all these strategists, but just think about a simple strategy. What Waj just said, the Epstein files, right? So today, Donald Trump flew in specially. I mean, this is common knowledge, because today is Charlie Kirk's memorial. They're having a big thing at the White House. They're going to give him the Medal of Freedom. They're having like a party. I'm hearing there's a whole plan, event taking place about this. Right? They're going to take over 4 o'clock. They're going to take over the media cycle. He's actually speaking right now. They're going to take over the media cycle. They're going to go turn this in. So a little free advice that I was trying to give the Democrats and the leadership. You know what should have been happening today is today, right now, or in the morning, the leadership of the Democratic Party all together, you should have as much congressmen and women and senators out there with the survivors standing on the front lawn saying, in memory of Charlie Kirk, in memory of Charlie Kirk. His last words to you, Donald Trump, was to release the Epstein files.
Absolutely.
We are here. Do you know what would happen? You would he would make this is how you this is a simple way. But where is their strategies? Where is all of their? This is simple. This is, you don't have to be a rock. This is me and Waj talking about every single day. You had such an opportunity today. Instead, you're going to be sitting all day today. You're going to hear on the defensive, all of them talking about again Charlie Kirk. God forbid, when you could have today destroyed everything and used it. That's what we need. We need strategical stuff like that. That's why I'm trying to get through to the right people. But for some reason, Waj, I don't know. I don't know. It's like it's crazy. It's like knocking. I feel like sometimes I'm like knocking. I'm like, hello, McFly. Anybody home?
McFly. Biff, I just tweeted, and I'm glad you reminded me. I said the Trump administration should honor Charlie Kirk and his birthday by fulfilling his wish of releasing the Epstein files. Pass it on. Uh,
Everybody should go retweet that. Everybody good should. That should be a hashtag today or something. This is the stuff. I guess we need to start doing it as a movement
it works.
ourselves. I mean,
It works.
because there's no leader. But just think about how powerful today it could have been if they lined up and had Marjorie Taylor Greene there, and had all of them and stand there united with the survivors standing there and saying in honor of Charlie Cook. Do you understand the shit show, the media, the Trump? They would probably call it would become he would probably forget about sending in the National Guard and try to figure out how to attack, do something. This is the kind of shit that you need to do with them if you want to rattle his cage, if you want to get our democracy back, if you want him to make mistakes. Believe me, putting a post out there and again, not I'm not trying to get down on what's his name Newsom, but again, they got so much money, they got so much influence. These people, like Prisker, Newsom, all of these guys, they got all you need is a little bit of common sense and somebody that knows what they're talking about, that's been in there. That's what strategy is about. We're at war. You want to, it's like I said to somebody, they were talking about like why Newsom, why Trump attacked Newsom, why was Newsom? I said, you guys, it's common sense. Don't you understand? We had his ex-wife. I mean, Kimberly Guilford she was sleeping with Don Jr. She was part of our thing.
And then he ditched her, right?
Correct. So, and then they got rid of her and sent her to the Greece somewhere or something after they were. But what I'm saying to you is, just think of. I'm not saying it to insult or something, but the information that the ex-wife has. I mean, she knows the person. She's lived with him. Same thing here. How are you not bringing into your camp people like me that are their ex-wives? And I'm not trying to push myself onto it. I'm just saying to you, there's other people out there that know them, that said, how are you sitting with people that are, just because they have a Yale degree or a Harvard degree, that means that they're professional strategists? Just because they served on an Obama campaign or because they served on a Clinton campaign, they're professional strategists? These people have never been in the same room with Donald Trump. They've never met with Kash Patel. They are talk about them, and that's why they're all getting indicted. That's why they're all getting played out. This is why we're seeing all that. That's why we don't hear nobody speaking up. That's why we don't have no leadership. It's part of the chaos. It's part of what Russell fought. It's part of 2025. This is all being planned out. And Donald Trump, all he is a showman, folks. Just like he did The Apprentice, now he's acting as the president. And there's others that are running the show. But we could stop it. We could stop it. But
And you have, I think, look, I don't have any faith in the Democratic leadership right now. I'm with the majority of Americans. The Donald Trump's approval ratings are very low. They're going down, down, down. But the approval rating of the DNC is even worse. It's the lowest since 1994. So it's going to be up to us, I think, you, me, Lev, everyone else, to just spread this, because the Democrats still haven't embraced Zoran Mamdani. The leadership still, it's political malpractice at this point, right? They've spent more energy attacking Zoran Mamdani than attacking Charlie Kirk and bringing out his actual receipts of racism, right? And speak about the racism that underlines everything. I don't know if you saw this. It just came out a couple of minutes ago on Politico. This is kind of, folks, oh, they're going to lose their mind. This came out on Politico less than an hour ago. I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked. Yet they kept typing anyway. They referred to Black people as monkeys, watermelon people. They use the N-word. They talk about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They say their enemies should be raped and they should drive them to suicide. They use words like the F word for gay people, R word for intellectually disabled people. N word appeared more than 251 times. What they hate more than anything, Lev, is being called out for being weak, bigoted, and racist. You know this. They hate being called racist. It just sets them off, because
that's
I think they hate being confronted with the truth. You're corrupt. No, you're corrupt. You're a racist. How dare you call me a racist? You're a misogynist. No, you are. You're a traitor to this country. No, you're a traitor. It's all projection all the time. This article that just came out. Woo, your take on it. You're in the movement.
I mean, listen, I talk about it all the time. I think this article is 100. I haven't read it. I don't see it, but just from the
It just came out.
just from what I'm hearing, from what you're saying, it doesn't surprise me because that's the culture, and that's why it shocks me when I was watching, blacks for Trumps, Puerto Ricans for Trumps, and all of that. I understand. I know why how they got them to do it because I was part of the machine that built it. Is because none of them get close enough to the top except for the leaders of these organizations. So they'll take, like, say, somebody that's willing to sell out and not care about their race or care about their people or care about their financial or care about being close up to the top. They get a person that's corrupt in that mind because that's who Donald Trump will deal with. They'll give him the or her the walking, marching orders, and then they'll push it on to everybody else. They'll say, "Hey, look, I'm a black person and I'm voting for Donald Trump. So what are you talking about? Where's stand for?" And that to take away from the real thoughts and real to show the real who Donald Trump and who they are. Because if you really take to understand who really the hardcore MAGA base is, it's that 30% of our country, and I
There you
know
go.
real down that we're speaking about this, and this is very important. This is who Donald Trump tapped into in 2015, 16, and has been growing it. And that is that 30% that is hardcore racist, that don't want blacks, immigrants, the Jews, that think that America, they don't want Indian, they think it's their land, America pure. They don't want, these are the people that don't care about what happens in Europe or Middle East because they don't want to, they want it made in America, born in America, American. They have it's the same that type of belief, but for years and years they've been shut down. They've been suppressed because they were suppressed. It didn't matter by whoever, left, right, because that's what made America great. We suppressed that far agenda, and we were trying to do away with it. We were progressing to moving forward with giving all the initiatives. Donald Trump tapped into that. Donald
Yep.
Trump understood that if he could get those, and those people, by the way, never voted. Those were the group that never came out and voted for the past elections because their vote really didn't matter because nobody, they never had a candidate that would support them. They never had a candidate that said stand back and stand by. They never had a candidate saying there's good people on both sides. They never had a candidate that was willing to pardon 600 insurrectionists that said it's okay. Don't
1,600.
1600, right? So they never had that. So they never came out and voted. And then Donald Trump tapped into it. And then what they added to it, because I was part of it, I remember, was the religion part, the Christianity, because Donald Trump was never religious. He couldn't
Christian
even,
nationalism.
right, he couldn't even quote out of the Bible, his favorite verse. I don't think he's ever read the Bible. But they tapped into it, even though he was so corrupt because of his own, womanizing and all the stuff going about. We were able to tap into it because some of these leaders in the Christian National Party are just as corrupt. And then just remember what happened with Falwell. He got caught with his pants down, which was Falwell was his leader that got him into it. Billy Corbin that did my documentary with Rachel Maddow did remember the same he did the documentary about how Falwell got caught with the pool boy, him and his wife, and how they got Donald Trump and all of that. So this was all part of going back 8 years. Like this is 9 years already. This is the movement, and it's all been fine tuned until now. They're rolling it out, and and we're seeing it now. That's why they're taking away women's rights. That's where they started by taking away women's rights. They're trying to take away LGBTQ rights. They're taking away immigrant rights. Then they're going to go after black. They're going to go after. It's just part of it's part of Project 20. And that's the one thing I also say. I'm sorry to watch that ranting, but
No,
somebody
rant
needs
away.
to. Somebody needs to, and this is another part of it. We need to dissect. If nobody's going to do it, I might start doing it. Maybe we'll have a show once every couple of days where we take a part of. I mean, Project 25 it's like this. take actual parts of it, dissect it, and show what in their own words, what it says in there, and what's happening and what they're doing. Just like defy the courts, just like fire get rid of, gut these institutions, bring in the National Guard, insurrection, cancel, voting, get the immigrants out, shut the borders down. All of this is written in Project 2025. And we need to align that with Donald Trump because that's another part of his kryptonite. Because that is something. If just remember when Kamala Harris mentioned it, he was like, "No, no, I don't know. I never read it. I don't know." And now he writes a
And it
tweet.
had single digits approval rating. He ran away from it. And then I think it was last week where on his True Social post, he bear hugged it and released the AI video with him and Russell Vought as the Reapers.
And the biggest thing that when we were part in MAGA that we did that I can't force the Democrats to do. Maybe we got close to 3,000 people here. Maybe if we start this movement, maybe somebody will listen to what we're saying in here. Folks, think about what happened when Hillary Clinton came out and said the word deplorables.
I
That was
remember.
it. That was it. We ran with that. MAGA ran with that because what was the key message in that? That you are not for the whole country. You're for half the country. You just called half the country deplorables. That was a rallying cry. We started. That was our fight. Boom, boom. Why are we doing the same thing? Donald Trump's coming out and he's telling you straight out, Democrats are garbage. I'm not. I don't care about it. I'm here. I'm not for them. Why? See, this is what I'm saying is part of the messaging. We don't have. I don't know who is in charge of the Democratic Party. To who has the. I don't know who to talk to, but I mean, this is the messaging that we need to put together. Epstein fire. I mean, you don't need 20. We don't need to be 20 different things. We have 3 things that they've given us. Those same 3 things. Repeat them over and over. Make sure 360 million people know it. Make sure that everybody it's in their brain, just that they know that Donald Trump shut down the government. Donald Trump is protecting pedophiles. Donald Trump is putting into place Project 2025. That's it, folks. You don't need nothing else. Here you go.
I think you just need to go. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do, but you poke away. But the one I know people might hate hearing this because they're like, no, I don't know about this. Watch, look at the economy and look at fascism and democracy. Epstein. Over 80% of Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, want the release of the Epstein files. And we know, Lev, that he is all up in the files. He can't escape it. He cannot escape the Epstein files. The number one issue always in the world is the economy. He's underwater in the economy, folks. Nearly half this country now believe the country is going the opposite direction. Soy farmers are now openly saying we don't want a bailout, it's a band-aid. You're seeing the price of beef reach a record high. The price of groceries are up. You've seen Latinos abandon him. You've seen young people abandon him. And then also the overreach. It's okay to lean in and say he hates the rest of us. He hates Portland. He hates Latinos. He hates black people. He hates Muslims. They're racist. They're racist. They're bigoted. Call them out, folks. Call them out. Lev, before I let you leave, I mean, this is a big piece, folks, that just came out. They're going to try to spin this, but with them cracking skulls, black and brown skulls, and now white skulls, with them going after undocumented Latinos, black people, women, Muslims, pro-Palestinian activists, I love Hitler in this young Republicans chat. Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. We're gonna do whatever it takes. N word, N word, N word. Stay in the closet. F word. That girl is a full R word. They love the watermelon people. These are young Republican leaders who worship Charlie Kirk, and we all have Charlie Kirk's track record because he was open about all of his views about black people and women and immigrants. I think this stuff is repulsive to the majority. I think Stephen Miller is repulsive to the majority. And what we talked about is now that Stephen Miller has come all out, they're stuck. Like this is their team, Lev. This is who they are. And I think that they can't put a lipstick on this pig anymore. I'll give you the final word.
No, Raj, you're 100% right. We're in a time of crisis, and it's getting worse and worse. Also, they're using PSYOP now quietly. They have my source are telling me that they've infiltrated Substack, and I don't know if you've noticed, but like they've been attacking me, Michael Cohen, others. Basically, we're losing thousands of subscribers.
Really? That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's wild. I'm getting DMs from subscribers telling me we can't find you. We're not getting notifications. Every day, two, three, four, five people are fake accounts asking people for money, so people unsubscribe. I mean, full up operations there. Social
Oh, with
media.
your face. They're using your face
You're
and
using the face. They're putting the face, and so I'm just want everybody to be very careful. It's happening there. Make sure that the only thing I'm going to ask is this: subscribe, help fight their psyops. We need to build a platform. I've also just joined YouTube, and please join me there and support because I'm going to be doing both YouTube and Substack. It's at Lev Remembers, just like it is here at Substack. And I'm going to have different content, different lives, but I'm going to be going on both different. And I need your support because a lot of the stuff that I'm breaking and talking about, and a lot that's going to be coming out, Trump's already pissed off. He's talking about stuff that I don't want to get into right now. So the bigger, the quicker we could build our movement to be able to get this information out and to do what Waj is saying by literally, I mean, this is simple. Just using, just think about today. We should be right now, all of us should be saying, Charlie Kirk, right now, we should have a united campaign. Everybody should be talking about the Charlie Kirk's last words, get the Epstein files out, throw it in their face. Every congressman and woman should be standing out there on the front lawn, getting the media attention, saying the same thing, talking about the government shutdown, 2 weeks, government shutdown, people aren't getting paid. Nobody's talking about these things. Instead, they're talking about what Trump said in the Middle East because it doesn't make a difference, folks, because it's all theatrics. So please continue subscribing to Wash, all the independent journalists. But right now, I'm being hit pretty hard. So all the support, all the help, the subscriptions really mean a lot to fight this psyop that I'm dealing with. And I've contacted Substack; they're dealing with it also. So, but yeah, this is what we're dealing with, folks.
they're going to get more desperate. They're going to get more scary because they're a cornered New York City rat. No offense to city rats or sewer rats. It's going to get worse. This is why they're mentioning the Insurrection Act. This is why they're mentioning suspending habeas corpus. This is why they're creating false flags and saying all of us are Antifa. This is why they have ICE agents in Portland and LA and DC and in Chicago. These are actions of a desperate regime, folks. But we have the numbers. October 18th, couple of days. Bring as many bodies as you can peacefully to the No Kings rally. The first one was 5 million. Let's try to get to 9 million. I'll end on this is once you have 3.5% of a population historically that rises up, that's when governments topple. For us, that number is 11.5 million. And support the people who are just doing our best. Don Lemon's unleashed now. Joy Reid's unleashed. I've always tried to be unleashed. Lev is unleashed. We're independent. If you can, subscribe to Lev Remembers, give him some money. If you have a few dollars left over, come over to the Left Hook. If you don't have money, it's okay. Everything's for free. Just subscribe. And once this is out in about 30 minutes, Lev will have it up on his Substack. I'll have it up on mine. Just share it. Just share the information, folks. Get people informed, to get people organized, get people in a community. Be kind to each other. I'll be back at 4 o'clock with Deborah Shushan. I think Schumann. Deborah Schumann's great. We're gonna talk. We're gonna break down what's happening in Israel and Palestine right now, because it's all nonsense. I knew it. I wanted to be wrong, but I will correct myself. I do think Netanyahu plays Trump, but in this case, you're right. It's all part and parcel of the big game. As Donald Trump said, he said, "Finish the job." And he already released the AI video of him and Netanyahu enjoying, remember, mocktails at the beach because he wants to make it the Riviera of the Middle East. Why did Jared Kushner get nearly $2 billion from the Mideast? Why did the Witkoffs get their money? They told you the plot, folks. The Israeli Security Cabinet already voted to take over Gaza City and move the Palestinian people. And now surprise, surprise, they say Hamas has violated the ceasefire deal. So they've already killed at least 9 people, probably more. And they've already halved the humanitarian aid that was supposed to come in. This phase 5 starvation. So we're going to break it all down at 4 p.m. Join us, folks, because if you think what's happening in Israel Palestine doesn't affect you, you ain't paying attention. It impacts elections. It's impacting what's happening in New York City. It's impacting with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and AIPAC. And this genocide and occupation could not happen without your taxpayer dollars. So Americans in particular at this moment, actually, Lev, with what's happening with the majority of people who want an end to this, an end to the occupation, ceasefire, they want the end of Netanyahu's regime. We as Americans could put pressure, not just on Democrats, but also on Republicans, because Tucker Carlson has broke. Marjorie Taylor Greene has broke on this, and so has Thomas Massie, which means this is a weakness, another weakness for Donald Trump. Folks, thank you all for joining. Be kind to each other and don't be a fascist. Thanks, love.
Thanks, Wash. Take care.